Ironman the animated series is perhaps the worst animated show I have ever seen in my entire life. And that's saying a lot. Everything about this show, it's straight up 1 out of 10. Everything about it. First of all, let's talk about the animation of this show. How is it so bad? How could Marvel make a whole cartoon and give it 5 frames per minute? And don't give me that whole, oh, it's just made with a cheaper budget thing. Because there's shows who look better who have been made with not an enormous amount of money. If you don't like that one, let's look at something, I don't know, from Marvel, like What If, which is CGI, but it looks pretty good. And if your argument is going to be, well, yeah, but that's new, let's go back to something earlier. Okay, let's look at Teen Titans, a show who wasn't particularly known for its high budget, but could do good with what it had. Hell, let's go back to the 90s, to the direct competition of Marvel at the time, which was DC. Batman the Animated Series is one of the most stunning pieces of animation when it comes to serialized animation, at least, not movies, I've ever seen. This show looks beautiful as hell. And even if you go to its sister show, Superman the Animated Series, which is definitely lower in terms of quality, it's still miles ahead of Ironman the Animated Series. Hell, go back in the 80s and see the original Dragon Ball. I know it's an anime, but it's like a decade older, and it still has better animation than this Marvel show. Look at X-Men and Spider-Man the Animated Series, which are made by, I think, the same people, and they still have better animation. Any era you can go, you can find good animation. And this is not only not good animation, it's not only mid animation or subpar animation. The animation in this show is completely atrocious. Hell, it's worse than He-Man and She-Ra, and all of those shows were basically some cardboard cutouts moving their heads and mouths sometimes. The show does improve in season 2, and the animation gets a little better. However, at that point, it's too late, and quite frankly, it's not enough to fix what season 1 has done. It's not that much better, it's just a little better. What I am ashamed when it comes to this show is that I used to love this show. I used to watch it all the time, alongside something like X-Men the Animated Series or Spider-Man the Animated Series, and I thought it was amazing. And at the time, also things that aired were like Teen Titans and Justice League, and as a kid, I couldn't tell the difference between those when it comes to, quality, so I just ate it up, and you probably did too. And now if you are going to go into the comment section, you're going to argue with me how this show is actually good. However, you haven't seen it in like 20 years, and only liked it when you were 12. And let me tell you something, if you still like it as a grown man, as a grown adult, if you still think this is acceptable and it's of good quality, I advise you, go watch anything else. Go watch anything else of quality, even mild quality, and you will find better than this. This show is quite frankly the High Guardian Spies of the 90s. I am not even kidding. Please go watch something else. Watch Arcane. Watch Invincible. Watch this The Boys cartoon that came out. Watch anything else and you would find more enjoyment. And if you're telling me that this show is anywhere close to, I don't know, Arcane, or even something more unliked by people like Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or I don't know, something like Steven Universe, You are lying to me, and you are lying to yourself. And I didn't even get to the writing yet, because it is truly high Guardian Spice level of terrible. And I'm not exaggerating. It is quite atrocious. Episode 1 starts on the board of a submarine, where two characters, some of the first people to talk in the show, this is the first kind of dialogue in the show. One of the first lines, one of the first pieces of voice acting in the show, this is what we get.
What's that? A woman?
What's that? A woman? Brilliant performance. What can I say? Basically, this chick called Hypnosia or something like that is putting a fart in a box, which will come later into play, later in the episode. What I want to say about this character is that not only the voice acting for her is just a work of art. You need to hear it to believe it, okay? It's incredible.
1 year from now, you will become an army of living dead. De la vista, Boris. Sorry to hypnotize and run.
When she's laughing, her mouth doesn't even match the sounds. It's not happening at the same time, her laughter in animation and in audio. But it's not the movement that you would produce when laughing like that. Nothing here matches. Anyway, she leaves the fart in a box, and then she says this beautiful, beautiful line.
Hasta la vista, Boris. Sorry to hypnotize and run. I'm out of here.
I'm outta here. I'm cooking over here. What do you want? I'm walking over here. I'm gonna stop. Anyway, then the first time that our introduction to Tony Stark, aka the Iron Man, is him, and I thought it was Pepper, but apparently it's just some other woman. Him and her ass, both underwater. It looks kind of like sex, or it also kind of looks and sounds like Tony is giving birth.
The pain. Push, Tony. Harder.
I'm very confused. Also, they talk about Tony's toes, and I mean, bro, people who was making this were like down bad, bro. What the hell?
Now, good. Lean on me. Point your toes and kick like crazy.
Okay, I just rewatched the scene. It totally looks like they're having sex. No shot. Those guys put this thing in. In the first appearance of Tony Stark in a kid-friendly show, it looks like he's having sex or giving birth.
On. Work into the pain. Push, Tony. Harder. Boy, is that all you've got?
What is happening right now? What is wrong with those people? The next scene is... Well, actually, before I talk about the next scene, I have to talk about the editing in this show. Because the last scene didn't even end before they transitioned to this scene. And like 0.5 seconds in, they already do something in the scene. How do I even explain this? Tony gets out of the pool, he starts talking, and like mid-sentence, the scene transitions to the next scene while they're already dressed and talking. And while they're talking, this hurricane guy, I think it's called Whirlwind or something, he comes into his house and breaks in.
Give you a raise for getting me out of this torture chamber, Jim.
What is that?
It's a code 10 alarmed.
But like what is this editing? Like, what? How are you failing so hard at this? How did this happen even? I I don't even understand how it did happen. I'm starting to believe it might not even be from the show. It just might have been something, I don't know. Maybe the version I'm watching has editing mistakes in it, but I just feel like this is how the show is. And this Whirlwind guy, what is happening with his voice acting and his dialogue?
Come to Papa.
How is this greenlit? Who greenlit this? How is this the first episode? How? And I'm not even to the bad part yet. I haven't even gotten to the bad parts of the episode. This is like the first 3 minutes. Anyway, Whirlwind basically steals a chip from Ironman's lair so he can give it to the Mandarin, who we're gonna get into, because the Mandarin wants to take it to use it for his own shit or whatever. Basically, he stole from Iron Man so he can use the technology for the Mandarin. Okay, so about the Mandarin, okay? When he's laughing, first of all, his voice acting is just as great as you can expect from everything you heard so far. But when he's laughing, he doesn't even match the movement of the animation. What the sounds that come out of his mouth don't match how the character moves.
Yes. Yes.
It's quite incredible. How did he manage to fuck this up? All you had to do is laugh, bro. Anyway, basically what happens is that he needs this microchip from Tony Stark so he can take control of the people on the board of the submarine, because basically he can use the fart in the box to make them into zombies, essentially, that work for him. And the zombies are indestructible or something. So that needs a year to do. For some reason, they don't explain why or how. It just needs a year to happen. So what happens here is that they time skip a year, 5 minutes into like episode 1. They time skip 1 year. If that wasn't enough, they tell you 3 times within 20 seconds. The Mandarin says it's gonna be 1 year. Then his henchman says 1 year, and then he says again, I will wait 1 year, I will wait forever. Then there is on screen showing you a year later, and then somehow after all those times they really had to nail it down. So they have the War Machine guy, I forgot his name, the black guy, mentioning it like 5 seconds after it already said on the screen 1 year later. He had to mention it again, that it has been 1 year.
But in exactly 1 year.
It's been nearly a year since the Mandarin bombed out trying to get in here.
Fucking Christ, bro. I'm sorry. How do you fail so bad? You don't have... How stupid do you think your audience is? I get it that they're kids, okay? But 1 year is not that hard to comprehend. After you already said it 3 times, you don't have it to say it a 4th time. Jesus Christ. I can't believe this came out after X-Men the Animated Series and after Batman the Animated Series. Given the fact that those shows tackled such deep themes, especially for a kids show, and these guys have to tell you 5 times in a row that it has been 1 year. I'm sorry, I'm really getting stuck on this one. Also, the general guy implies that the Mandarin hasn't done anything in a year? Really? And Tony hasn't found any of his henchmen either in 1 year? Nobody did anything for 1 year? The Mandarin didn't do anything, his henchmen didn't do anything, and the Iron Man didn't find any of them either. How is that even possible? But whatever, I give it a pass, whatever. Let's say it's credible, even though we established that this is a universe that's shared with like 6 other shows. You're telling me that nothing happened? Okay, Sure. While Tony and War Machine are talking, Hypnosha is outside the building with a fake balloon that's supposed to be some sort of device that can hear them, and basically she listens to their conversation. And this scene is actually so stupid because Modoc is literally in a baby stroller, and this is the stupidest thing they could have done. Why would Modoc even need to be in the open when she has the ability to just communicate with him from distance? But at the same time, it's very, very funny. It's like actually fun. It made me laugh, actually. So, the positives I think outweigh the negatives in this thing. It is stupid for the big bad villain to be this dumb, but at the same time, it's very, very funny. And after that, the Mandarin summons all those E-tier list villains, the most obscure motherfuckers you have ever heard of in a Marvel anything, because I guess this is his, this is his Akatsuki, this is his opposition to the Avengers. You have Avengers, you have the Justice League, you have the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you have those bozos, those are the guys who are supposed to challenge superhero groups. And the scene is just as bad as you would think. The animation is subpar, the voice acting is terrible, but there's specifically this moment when the Mandarin throws the snow guy off a cliff. It's not a cliff, but it's more like a hole, but you get the idea. He throws him in, but then he's like, okay, I'm not gonna actually kill you because I am very merciful, I think he says. I'm saying I think he says that because you can't hear what the fuck he's saying.
I shall spare you, because I am merciful.
How is this production so bad? How is he mumbling so much?
When you carelessly created a fast freeze to cool your drink.
And then, like, whispering.
Because I am merciful.
Bro, he's literally in a production building or something. How can you not record a line properly? How are you whispering your lines? It's insane to me. It's actually unimaginable.
Nothing can stop the Mandarin.
When Tony transforms into Ironman, well, he doesn't transform, but when he suits up, how are his clothes just changing? Like he just shoots some lasers or electricity at himself or whatever the hell is happening, and his clothes transform into an undershirt for the Iron Man armor? How? What is happening? Also, what is with the CGI in this scene? Why do they use CGI? Could they literally not animate him pick up the helmet? And if not, why have it that way? Why do you need to put the helmet down so he has to pick it up, but you don't have enough production value to animate him picking up the helmet without using the most horrible CGI you've ever seen in your entire life? Some people were complaining about What If being 3D. Oh boy, they haven't seen this transformation sequence. Holy moly. The CGI is holy hell. But at least after all that horrible CGI, there's like 5 to 10 seconds of pretty decent animation for this show. At least it's very good. So, you know something? I am very pleasantly surprised that this show can have decent animation. How comes this guy can put the armor on without using the shitty CGI? Why is Tony so special that he needs a horrible CGI to transform, whereas this guy can just put it on, no problem? Leaving aside the fact that the underwater physics make no sense throughout this whole episode, why do they just reuse the footage of the guy coming into battle for no reason? Like, this does not need to be there. Why is he here? I'm so confused. Okay, and the Mandarin can just randomly summon the quote unquote alien dragon Fing Fan Foom. Is that racist, by the way? I don't know. It might be racist. Wait, is it racist, especially since the Mandarin is kind of supposed to be this, Asian racist stereotype anyway? Those are kind of piling up, if you ask me.
Satisfactory.
And War Machine's voice acting, it's so bad. It's actually hilarious. It's so funny.
My echo scanner says Ironman just took a laser hit, and the cyber feedback reached his brain.
My echo scanner says Ironman just took a hit.
If we don't find him fast, his mind will incinerate.
Hilarious. Oh, so hold on. Anyone else outside of Tony here can be underwater quite easily just with a dome over their head so they can have air to breathe? If it's that easy to the point where Haggai, a normal guy, can just go there bare skin essentially, with his arms not even covered, why did Tony need a whole ass suit and didn't just put on one of those domes and call it for today?
How you feeling?
Lousy. I think I've almost figured something out. There was no problem until Fing Fang Foom played Fangs for the Memory in my cranium.
But none of the bad guys were around when you showed up.
The Mandarin only brings the dragon in on big deals. Why would he do that and then call him off?
Like, first they wanted to bust your chops for checking out the sub, and later they could care less.
Jim, first and later. First and later. Define time. Something had to be happening aboard the Prometheus. When its time was up, the Mandarin no longer had a reason to defend it. March 11th. There has to be a link to this date. But what? Irving, I wonder what happened to you. That's it. Way to go, Irving. Now I know what this is all about.
What? Okay, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand anything of what happened. Maybe this time the show is just too intelligent for me. Maybe I'm not smart enough. My brain is too small. But to me, that just sounded like a bunch of nonsense. Okay? I don't have any idea, any clue how he got to all those conclusions or how he made even those observations into something that's slightly tangential. I really like how they're reusing the same animation even though Tony has different clothes on and he's in a different location. Top notch, guys. I couldn't even notice it. I really mean that. Like, as a kid, I didn't really notice it, so that is good for you, I guess.
It took a year to transform the Russian sailors into unstoppable radioactive zombies.
Wait, so his whole plan for a year. He was planning this and plotting this for a year.
I got a year? Yeah, to cash in. A year!
Just so he can do a bunch of goo zombies out of the fart. I know he calls them those indestructible, undead zombies, whatever he's saying, but like we see later that they get defeated, so it took you 1 year to do something that's resolved in like 5 minutes remaining of this episode? Holy Jesus. He's so incompetent, which, I mean, to be fair, it's a Saturday morning cartoon, so that's fine. But he's played as being this serious bad guy, so that's what's confusing about it. He's not like some Doofenshmirtz joke character. He's supposed to be kinda serious. The editing in this fight, it's so confusing. I can't even really tell where people are or what is going on. And again, I'm not playing it for the, well, I'm not showing my face, so there's no camera, but I'm not playing it for the video. I am genuinely confused. What is happening? I know they're fighting and they show us like snippets of like 1 second of each scene, but they cut it to a different scene where the characters are doing something different, which is not in the same location. Or they show us like kind of close up of things, but they don't show us the whole thing, so I don't know where is who. I don't understand their powers because they haven't really been explained. So I don't know if they're just moving fast or teleporting or what is happening, or which is the most likely scenario, is just horribly edited to the point that it's unwatchable. One year of planning, and he never thought that Ironman could... Wait. What did he even do? I am, again, genuinely confused. What did Iron Man do that it made his whole plan fall apart? What happened? They can't swim? They're defeated by water? Why did his plan got messed up because of what Iron Man did? What happened? What? Explain, please! Please explain. Give me a reason why the plan unfolded. He just basically threw them into the water. So, MODOK randoms this... Randoms? So MODOK summons this random guy out of nowhere. And he's supposed to be the strongest organism in the universe or something. And he's supposed to be this strong and intimidating villain. But he gets clapped in like 30 seconds somehow. Like, yeah, he punches them and they're kinda hurt, but then they defeat him by wrapping him with ground, and then they throw him into space, and then he explodes for some reason? Why did he explode? Doesn't he come from a space? What does space do to him? Also, how could they be in space without a special suit? How were they in water earlier without a special suit? Why did they set up the whole episode around Iron Man going into a special suit underwater, and then the second time he goes underwater, he doesn't need it, and then he goes to space, and he doesn't need it there either. And then this dipshit turns the Goog zombies back to human magically. Why didn't he do it in the first place? And weren't they just defeated earlier? Like, huh? Oh, and the Mandarin didn't think that this guy, apparently who has magic powers or something, couldn't just turn them back to humans? Like, also, how did he discover they were humans? And if he did, he should have turned them from the first time he arrived. And if he did after, we should have been shown that he figured it out. What is this writing? And then the episode just ends. Now you understand why this was one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is only episode 1, but to be fair, episode 1 is probably the worst episode. It has the most weird elements and bad and horrible elements I've seen. So, at least there's that. But watching this is quite frightening. And I'm telling you what's frightening. If you might ask, what is frightening about it? Frightening is that I was watching this as a kid and I thought this was good. And more frightening is that adults could watch this and think, oh, this is actually a decent show. I would literally kill your whole family if you say that as an adult.